Hello, good morning. This is Two
Two
Girls,
girls.
One
One
Mic
mic.
podcast.
Yes.
This is Kamla.
Hi, I'm Kamla, and this is Marielle.
Hello. And this morning, I totally ambushed Kamla and I said, because we had a different topic actually planned for today, but I asked her if she was interested in doing a spontaneous podcast about us. And that was because I was listening to another podcast. I love podcasts. And also of two women, and they were sharing a lot of their personal stories. And I really liked that. And I thought, you know what? I think it would be interesting also for the listeners to know a little bit more about us. And I love asking questions to anybody, but especially you. And I wanted to be spontaneous. So Kamla was totally flexible. She said yes.
Bring it on. Yeah.
Here we go. Here we go. I've chosen just questions that I love to ask people. People that know me, also people that don't know me, have noticed that this is what I do. Yeah, when we're all comfortable, and I like to ask questions. And actually, my experience is that people love to talk
About themselves.
about themselves, yes. And I learned so much from listening to their stories, and I just hope that they also, take something away from it, because there's something really good about just sharing your story, and sometimes that could even lead to light bulb moments.
For sure. Yeah. Well, if you ask people questions, they will think about it. They will think about the answer, and then you have to go inside yourself to find, oh yeah, hey, how is that? Of hey, yeah. Oh, for a long time I didn't think about that. So it's always
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or they, and I love those moments that when you see that they have this, oh my God, I didn't know that this brings up these emotions, right? And if they're open to it, then you get to the good stuff, then you really get, and this is really not to be curious or something, but I just love how, talking about it can help, can clarify, can change things. So that's what we do. That's what we both do. That's our job. But it's just so that's why I thought, let's turn the table.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me start with my first question for you, Kamla. Oh no, wait. Do you want to start?
Do I want to start? No, you can start.
Yes, I can start? Okay. My first question is, do you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
Introvert. Very much so.
Very
I like
much
my
so.
quiet time. I like
surprising.
my privacy. I like my thinking. I like my contemplating. I like my time alone is very, very, very important for me. That is where I fill up myself and I fill my cup. So very much so.
That is so interesting. Because I would have thought that you would be an extrovert.
A lot of people think that, because when I'm out in the open, I am out in the open.
Yes.
But to be that, I need my time alone, and I need to have energy and get energy, and then I can be, I wouldn't call myself an extrovert, but I can be out in the open, for sure.
Right. And so when you, for example, no, just in general, not just when you were a teenager, but in general, are you then also a person that connects or has a very few really close friends? Or do you have always had a big group of friends?
No, I consider a few people, let's say 4 real close friends. And then I do have a bigger group outside those friends. There are friends, but different, you know what I mean? But I can connect with almost everybody.
Right. Right.
Everybody.
And does it take you a long time to really build a strong relationship like that? So I'm talking about those four really good friends.
Uh-huh.
Do you
Well,
need
of
a
course,
long?
it is over time, but I am really interested in people. I believe I bring to the table that people feel safe and heard by me. So um, I always say, and it's also for my clients, but also for my friends and family, of course. Um, I hold space for you. That's what I do, and people like that. And I'm truly interested, but it's more a feeling with me. If I don't, I remember, ooh, I remember a neighbor, a neighbor, when I was, I don't know, I think it was between 8 and 12, I think. There was a neighbor of us, his wife had cancer and she died, and very quickly he had a new lady friend. And I was like, what the? It was not good for me. And really, and if I don't like you, oh boy, you're gonna know it. I don't like you. And I'm not even gonna pretend.
Okay.
I'm not gonna pretend. So, and I remember my parents went to talk with the neighbor. I had to talk with the neighbor. I had to talk with the lady, the friend of the neighbor, because I was like, I wouldn't say angry, but more like, I don't need you in my life and I'm not gonna accept you in my life, like that. And I was 8. So very young, but if I don't like you, I don't like you. And I'm
You
not,
were
yeah,
8 years old when this happened?
yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
So this was
And it
because,
doesn't, and it doesn't happen often.
right.
But when it happens,
And this was purely because you were so disappointed or so surprised by the fact that he had replaced his wife so soon.
yeah, yeah. In
Oh.
my eyes, it went too quick. And yeah, who am I? But that was like, no, I'm not gonna take this. I'm not gonna accept this. And then I'm not gonna deal with you. Very simple.
Yes, that's very simple and clear.
Very simple. Yeah, yeah. But that's not with a lot of most people. I can just have a normal communication, and most of the time, a lot of people say, especially the hard people, or the stiff ones, or but I always get through and reach their heart. I always say, and I find their joy, and I find their light. So no, yeah.
And so when you have heartache, pain, sadness
Mm-hmm.
in your life,
Mm-hmm.
who do you turn to? Do you turn to all of those four friends, or do you first process it all by yourself? Are you the kind of person that, for example, people around you don't know that you're heartbroken or something has happened that made you, or even a little bit sad? They don't know it because you need to process it by yourself?
Yeah, for sure. I have to process it by myself first. And then as I have done that, then I can share it with the world, I always say. Yeah. Yeah. But I have to think about it, cry about it, write about it, contemplate about it, be angry about it, be sad about it. First, myself. And then I have to make sense to it. And then I can share it with the world. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And you?
I am totally extroverted.
Okay.
And because I know that, because when I have spent time by myself for a longer time, especially when I am dealing with something, that could be something minor or something big, or we need to make a difficult decision, or I'm frustrated or angry or hurt, whatever it is, especially then, when I am alone for a long time, then I can't get out of it, and I need to talk about it. That's how I think. And I process things by talking about it with somebody that just needs to listen.
Yeah.
I ask for advice as well, but it's just that I need to talk about it. Also, another thing is, this is how I fill up my battery, by being around people that I like and that I enjoy. And yes, I have noticed that since I started my own business here, and I have to spend quite you know, some time alone behind a computer and working, I have noticed that I do appreciate time by myself, and
Okay.
I guard it now because I need it.
Yeah.
But that's also because I have a busy family and we are in temporary housing. So it's very, you know, cluttered, and you know, while we're waiting for our house, which has our own office, and that's something that I dream about now, that, you know, actually that's the room I
That's the
look
only thing
forward to
I
the
need.
most. Yes, you know, my own space. So I definitely surprised myself that because I always thought that I needed to work in a team. That's how I perform best. I always thought that's what I like, that's what I love. I need people around me. But I've discovered that I definitely enjoy spending time by myself.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that I'm an introvert. I definitely am an extrovert. I'm an extrovert that loves introverts because I admire the qualities that they have. And it's because I think that introverts and extroverts, and I very often ask this question because it leads to a lot of interesting, you know, insights. And because I think we can learn from each other. You know, I admire and envy introverts' ability to observe and just process things and just sit with it for a while, like you just said. Well, while extroverts tend to sometimes be too impulsive and talk before they think, blurt things out. You know, that's, I think, one of the things we extroverts have to learn as we grow older, that that's not always in your best
it's not always beneficial.
Yes.
For you or for the other. Yes.
Or for the other. So that's definitely, and I think what I admire about introverts, especially, you know, the quiet ones, is their ability to observe. And so they are very knowledgeable about, so in the group, for example, they know what's going on. They see it. They know a lot more than the loud ones who are just, you know, in a group when I'm in
but you're missing the point because you're so busy with yourself that you're missing the point what's going on around you.
Yes, but so definitely. And and when I'm in a classroom or with a group, I always ask these questions, because then the interesting part is then to talk about what they can learn from each other, because the extroverts tend to be the more popular one, the more have more friends, and the more shy ones or more quiet ones. And then we start to talk about that it has nothing to do with confidence, also, although when you're a
sometimes
teenager,
it does, but not all the time.
Well, and when you're a teenager, they're still struggling with that. So shyness isn't necessarily introverted. It's you know, they think they might be introverted, but it's not. And so I love the topic, but again, definitely extroverted.
Extrovert. Okay. What was a key moment in your life?
Okay, key moment. Well, I have to say a key year in my life, which when I was 18, I just finished my high school, and I wanted to go abroad. I wanted to travel. I wanted to see the world, and I wanted to get out of the house, live my life. And so, yes, exactly. Make my own decisions. Yes. And I ended up in Salamanca, Spain for 1 year, almost a year, which was fantastic. And I mean, Spain is fantastic and the language is great. I totally forgot all my Spanish now, but I did learn Spanish, and it was very international. A lot of international students come there to learn Spanish, to do courses, and so that's what I did.
Why did you pick Spain?
Actually, it was pretty random, really. It was pretty random. I did not speak Spanish. Never been to Spain, and I guess it was also, I actually wanted to go to the States, the United States, for a year, but that just we couldn't afford that. And so then I just, you know, I looked at and we just found out that there was this organization that organized trips, and also, you know, you could go to a school there and You know, so that's and
Okay,
Spain,
cool.
I'd never been to Spain, and I wanted to go someplace where I've never been to. So
Right, right.
yeah.
Okay,
But the
okay.
most important, I think the most important for me was, and why it's still so important
Mm-hmm.
for me, is that that was the year that I learned so much about myself. I was
Mm-hmm.
completely, I did not know anybody. I think it
Mm-hmm.
was really brave, actually. 18-year-old, stepped on the bus, didn't know anybody,
Uh-huh.
and just went there and had to figure it all out. You know,
Yes.
so it was a year of a lot of firsts. First time
Mm-hmm.
on my own, first time cooking for myself, first time doing the groceries, first time really love, first
Uh-huh.
time sex, first time
Okay.
drunk, first time dealing with all sorts of drama, but
Uh-huh.
also first time of many exciting things. And it
Uh-huh.
just brought me a lot of life lessons,
Uh-huh.
a lot of experience,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of confidence. So that was definitely
Okay. Okay,
my
cool.
year. Well, what
Okay,
about you?
cool. A key moment in my life, yeah, of course, many, but um, one of my dearest is I met my biological father when I was 40. And I am adopted from birth. And I always knew who my biological mother was. And I never knew who my biological father was. And truthfully said, I didn't ever think about a biological father. I was always busy with finding my mother. And father was not even in my mind, not even in the picture. But I tried to find my mother for 2 times, I believe. Yes. No success. I did find her, but she didn't want contact. And then the third time somebody said, hey, I have somebody in Suriname, and do you still want to look for your mother? And I was like, no, been there, done that. But he keep pushing. I said, you know what? If you find something, then let me know. If she says yes, then let me know. So, okay, there they went. Unfortunately, my mother died, so I never got to meet her. But then that person said, but what about your father? I said, you know what? I don't know. I have no name. I have no nothing. I really don't know. My mother never talked about him. So I don't know where you have to start, but be my guest, do your thing. And he found him. And I did a DNA test because I said, yeah, you know what? I don't know. And he didn't know either. And it was 99.9% daddy. So that was a key moment in my life. Key moment.
And why? Tell us why. Why
Why?
was it so? Because, especially because you told us that actually for the longest time you really didn't even think about that.
I didn't even think about it, and to this day it's very strange. But yeah, that's just what it was. I was so busy with finding my mother and not even thinking about the father. I think because my adoptive father, I call him father because that's what I know, was such a great, sweet man that I didn't need or crave another father or something
Yeah.
like that. And why a key moment? Because especially as you adopted, at least I was always looking for recognition, roots, belonging. Um, yeah, well, those three, I guess. And so, and then when you meet your father for the first time when you're 40 years old, it's like, it's crazy. It's crazy. You cannot even, um, because what do you say? What do you say?
Yes. What did you say?
Nothing. Nothing really. We looked each other in the eyes and we both smiled. And of course there were hugs. And it's just more of a feeling of coming home in a way, in a way.
And how did he respond to you?
So sweet, so
Oh,
sweet. It was really, I say it's a gift. It's a gift. He was with open arms. He didn't know that I existed, so he didn't know that my mom was pregnant.
oh,
Um, he had a lot of children. He still has, but he died, unfortunately.
all right.
Together we are 17 children. So I got a big family extra as well. And no, he was very open and welcoming, and yeah, a real father, I would say. a real father. Yeah.
Did you recognize something about from yourself in your
He's
biological father?
stubborn like I am. He lived really in the woods of Suriname, and I love nature. So that is something. That's a nice story. From a very young age, I always craved like Africa.
Oh, okay.
The music, the dancing, the people, the clothing, the nature. It was always Africa, Africa, Africa. I had a lot of friends from Africa when I grew up. Played drums, danced on the music, African dance, la 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 la. Always. When for the first time I went back to see my biological father to Suriname, he lived in the woods, in the jungle. And while driving there, I said, oh my gosh, this is my Africa. It was the same huts. It was the women with the water on their heads, with the babies in the back. That was my Africa. So you never know. And I always thought I need to go to Africa because that's, it's inside of me. But it was home. Home was calling. I didn't even know that was home. But there's something clicked, like, oh, okay, this is it. This is what I was longing for all those years.
Yes.
Never knowing that it was home for me.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Gives
it
me
was.
chills.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That moment, that's a great moment when you're
Yeah.
driving there and you suddenly realize.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh.
This is it.
This is it.
Yes.
Yes.
Beautiful, Kamla. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Like it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you next question.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Oh, yes. How would you describe yourself as a teenager? Who were you? What kind of teenager?
What kind of teenager was I? An introvert. A lot by myself.
Yes.
I was a dancer, so a lot of dancing, school dancing. I was very focused.
Okay.
Not in school, dance.
Focused on dancing. Yes.
Focused about dancing. Yeah, focused and dedicated, I would say. I worked on the dance school for the administration, and I gave classes as well. I did classes as well, and that was my focus. So, and further, for a teenager, that was my world. I didn't really go out that much. I didn't party. I didn't drink. I didn't smoke. It was just focus. I always say ballet is also top sport. It's like, it's a high quality if you want to be a good one, at least. So I was focused.
So this was ballet?
Ballet, you have to start with ballet, but my major, I would say, are jazz and African. There it also came back. But I also like musical, and I like tap, and I would like to do all kinds of things. Yeah. Dance.
So what did you dream about? What did you dream about as a teenager? What did you want to do?
A dancer.
To become a dancer?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Did
really.
you?
I did, for a time.
Tell us.
For a short time, I went to the States. Oh. And I was picked up by a guy. He auditioned in Holland in different places and academies. And he picked me. And he said, I want you in my group, and then we go tour in the States. I said, okay, that's fine.
How old were you?
16.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And luckily my parents said, okay, that's okay. I know a lot of parents wouldn't say that's okay, but they knew who I was, and I was very focused, and I would say mature. So there I went.
Wow.
And I took for 2 years in the States. Very nice experience. Very, learning experience. Because the group was also very international. So he picked everywhere from China to Japan and Holland, Sweden, whatever, all over the world. So it was a very mixed group. So that was fun.
Yeah.
But there was also a lot of trouble. I mean, it was not really organized. I had 2 times I slept in the streets, like there's nothing arranged.
Oh my God.
these are stories I didn't tell my parents, of course. But I lived my dream. So I was up in the heavens. And
Oh,
to this day, I have a lot of friends still in the dance world. They say, "Oh, Kamla," they still are waiting for their break. And I had my break very early on in my career. So I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I did it. And after that, I went to Curacao, and I also participated in a school here, and I teached as well. We had a company as well. So I did a lot of dance. But for me now, I'm another chapter of my life, and dance is not really at the front anymore. But it is still, of course, I still like it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still interested, and I take care of my body, and I still need to move. If I don't move, I don't feel good. So it's still, it's in your system, I would
Yes.
say. But yeah.
Oh, that's so
Hmm.
nice to hear. Wow.
And you, Miss Mariella Teenager?
Oh, I was definitely less confident. I felt a little bit, how would you say that? Like solemn or,
Mm.
so I still have actually one of my best friends. I've known her since I was 10 or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And she, when we were in our early teens,
Uh-huh.
she was a lot smaller than I was, and I
Yeah.
was bigger also. So I always felt a little bit like an elephant next to her. She's really petite,
Aw.
but she was also very outgoing. She still is.
Uh-huh.
I mean, people just come to her, and she's
Uh-huh.
very easy to connect with. It's very
Mhm.
easy for her to connect with others. And so when
Uh-huh.
I was a teenager, I
Uh-huh.
always felt like, I was the more quieter one. And
Okay.
actually, also in general, a lot of people thought I was in a bad mood when I wasn't. My facial expression,
Okay.
asked me,
Okay.
what's the matter? And I
What's
was like,
wrong? Yeah, yeah. Okay.
nothing's wrong.
Okay.
But I was always, but on the other hand, I always had a lot of friends. I loved my girlfriends,
Mhm.
and also very much into sports, but that was more because, well, my whole family was into baseball and softball, and so I grew
Okay.
up on the baseball field, and I
Uh-huh.
have very fond memories because actually my whole childhood, but the strongest friendships that I have, the longest ones,
Mm-hmm.
let me say the longest, um, are still from that time. So
Mm-hmm.
we were in the same softball team. That's how I
Mm-hmm.
met my best friend, but also another group of girlfriends, and we really grew up together. We've
Okay.
always stayed in touch.
Okay.
I mean, few of them still live in the same town, but I moved, another friend moved away,
Uh-huh.
and some of us came back, but we
Mm-hmm.
always stayed connected. And we have, yeah, that period, it was really until I was 18 years old. I was
Mm-hmm.
every weekend we played games, two
Oh,
times a week
wow.
had
Okay.
training, so I was like
Uh-huh.
3 to 4 times a week I was on the field.
On
And
the
that's,
field. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
but that's where, so we were very, very close,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, fond memories. So yes,
Mm-hmm.
I was really in school, I was really working hard, I was
Mm-hmm.
really, yeah, kind of, I was
But
definitely not.
looking back, did you have a good
Yes,
youth?
absolutely, absolutely. My mother she was a single mother, but she
Mm-hmm.
always made sure we could do everything. We went on holidays every year. She drove us around a lot to the
Mm-hmm.
baseball field.
Mm-hmm.
We had a really nice, quiet town where we lived.
Uh-huh.
We went on the bike to our school,
Mm-hmm.
lots of friends, really, yeah, nothing major, no major things happening, just
Uh-huh.
very peaceful, happy,
Yeah.
yeah,
Good. Good.
normal, yes,
Free. Yeah. Like it should be. Yeah.
exactly,
Like
exactly.
it should be. Who inspires you?
Who inspire me? People that are brave enough to be themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Amen.
yes, because
Yeah.
it takes guts to be
Mm-hmm.
really themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
kind of, so that could be people that are famous, or people just that I meet, you know, and you kind of, you know, and that's something that I strive for. And also in my coaching, that is something that I talk about a lot, because I think that that is basically what, if we, especially, you know, for women and girls, you know, since I focus mainly on teenage girls and young adult girls and women in general, I believe that's the ultimate, right, goal for all of us, to truly be yourself. And I mean, not everybody wears masks, I mean, but in general, right, to really discover and like yourself. So when I've had that ever since I was a teenager. There were a few girls in my, two girls actually in my class. Oh, this is when you're 14, 15, right? When you're, everybody's really insecure, and you're, you know, trying to just make sure that nobody really notices you, or that, you know, awkward, and trying to belong, and, you know, but I always admired these two girls. I still remember their names, Natasha and Hanneke. And they seem to be, I'm not sure, I wish I could talk
well,
to
that's
them.
the thing, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They just seem to be very much themselves. So we had groups in our high school, for example. You have these groups, right? You still have those, the jocks, the nerds, the quiet ones, the nerdy ones, the whatever. And they were really, they didn't really belong to any group, but they were kind to everybody. This is one thing that I noticed, yes, because for example, you had these like punk, alternative, black, you know, who could be saying that they would, you know, accept everybody, but but I noticed that they could be really mean to people that were different than they were, right? This is what I didn't like. And those two girls, they were just completely themselves, and interested in anybody. You know, it doesn't really matter. The shy one, the ones with big mouths, and they were just so, they seemed to be so comfortable. And I was always envious, and I always thought, that's what I want to be. I want to be able to totally be myself, with no apologies, with no masks. And I noticed that also now, that I like those people that are themselves. And sometimes those people can be loud and obnoxious even to some people, but I think, you know, that's who they are, you know, especially people that are now in the limelight or famous, because they crave attention. And to some people they are annoying, but to me they're like, well, they are totally themselves. They, you know, apologies, and that's who they are. And or people just, you know, shy ones, but are comfortable, not shy ones, quiet ones, but totally comfortable in their own skin, and you just kind of feel it in their energy. And just, these are people that I admire. And also I admire people who are not afraid to speak their mind. And are bold, you know, like people like Pink, for example. I admire her.
I love that.
I just admire her. I'm totally have a girl crush on Pink. And Glennon Doyle is another one, very much herself, and just very open. I mean, in the books that she's written, I admire those people, and strive to be one of them. What about you?
Well, the same thing, of course, but I would like to add, everybody who is at least trying or striving to be and become that person. Because I also know, and you know as well, because of the work you do and we do, that a lot of people feel like they want to be themselves, but still don't know yet how to be themselves, or how to expose themselves.
Yes.
So I also admire, and they inspire me to, even because I hear it every day, and it inspires me to even shine my light even more, so that I can give them permission to shine their light as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not only the people who do already, but also the ones I see struggling.
Yes. Yes.
Also,
that's a challenge.
also, yeah, because I see you can see sometimes the pain, and so, yeah, I want to, but I don't know how. Please help me. How?
Exactly.
And I've been that person. I mean, I believe we all have been that person, right?
Absolutely.
Like, oh my gosh, I want to be that. And last week I saw somebody explain jealousy, and I said, yes, that's exactly what it is. A lot of times where, and you mentioned the word
Envy.
If you're jealous or envious on somebody, it's more like, inside yourself that you can also be that person. And that's what you're jealous of. It's not that you don't like the person or what they're doing that you don't like. It's more like, oh my gosh, I know I have this also inside of me. And I want to get it out.
Yes. Yes. Definitely. That's a good point. Yes. I always make the decision. I don't even know if that's correct. Maybe I totally made that up myself. But like for me, jealousy is when you really don't want that other person to be that way or to have that thing. And that's an ugly feeling. And you have to really work on that, because that's your problem, that's a problem. You need to work on that, because that's like very negative. Like,
well, that's a negative, but if you can look at it like this,
yes. And for me, envy is what you just described. Like, you see somebody do or be or have something
amazing, like, oh my gosh,
oh my God, but you can still be happy for that person, but it's just like, oh, I'm so envious and I want to do that. And that's where you want to be, right? Like, okay, what do I have to do to also feel like that?
And I always say, you can only recognize what lives inside yourself.
You can only recognize what lives inside yourself.
So if you see that the person is like, oh, out in the world, you know it because you know you can do it. Right. Otherwise, you wouldn't feel it.
Yes.
Otherwise, you wouldn't feel it.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yes. Now, I have lots more questions, but I know
me too. But we have to wrap it up today.
We have to wrap it up now, and it's a little bit shorter now because we had some problems with the audio. I think
we'll continue.
We have to, every once in a while, we'll just shine the light on us.
That's it.
Again. And I loved it. I love getting to know you a little bit better. And
same here.
And I think definitely we should do this more often. So
okay, we'll do. Deal.
We will do. We will blah blah. We will be back.
We will. Yeah, thank you for listening.
And if you have any comments, please let us know. Or if you want to ask us questions, have comments, or if you know a topic. Yes. Or if you want to be interviewed.
Also, we are open and flexible.
So let us know, and we might connect with you.
Yes. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.